Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 146 of Be With Me. I'm going to title today, Nobody Wants Justice. That's really a trick because nobody wants spiritual justice is my point. We've been looking at Paul as he is injected into the Roman system of justice. And he has been under the authority of a guy named Felix, who is going to lose his job. I'm not sure why he lost his job, but we know when it was. That was in 59 AD. And he's replaced by a guy named Festus. Same office, different guy. Felix goes to Festus. And they are the Palestinian procurators or the administrators. They're the ultimate legal authority in an area called Palestine, which is basically over what we would call Israel today. And yesterday we looked at the alarm of conviction where Felix, the previous guy, Paul preached to him for on and off frequently for 2 years and probably brought up some issues of self-control and uncontrolled appetites. And he kept Paul in prison and frequently brought him out and listened to him. Okay. So yesterday was kind of the idea is when conviction knocks, please answer the door. So today we're going to read about Felix retiring and Festus taking over his job in Acts 25. Here it is, verse 1. Now 3 days after Festus, the new guy, had arrived in the province, he went up to Jerusalem from Caesarea. So he's going to live in Caesarea, but he goes and visits Jerusalem because that's where the Jews are, and that's primarily who he's authority over. And the chief priests and the principal men of the Jews laid out their case against Paul, and they urged him, asking as a favor against Paul that he summon him to Jerusalem because they were planning an ambush to kill him on the way. Festus replied that Paul was being kept at Caesarea and that he himself intended to go there shortly. So, said he, let the men of authority among you go down with me, down from Jerusalem to Caesarea. And if there's anything wrong about the man, let them bring charges against him. After he stayed among them not more than 8 or 10 days, he went down to Caesarea. And the next day he took his seat on the tribunal and ordered Paul to be brought. When he had arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around with him, bringing many and serious charges against him that they could not prove. Paul argued in his defense, quote, neither against the law of the Jews, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I committed any offense. But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, do you wish to go up to Jerusalem and there be tried on these charges before me? But Paul said, I am standing before Caesar's tribunal, where I ought to be tried. To the Jews I have done no wrong, as you yourself know very well. If then I am a wrongdoer and have committed anything for which I deserve to die, I do not seek to escape death. But if there's anything to their charges against me, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar. Then Festus, when he had conferred with his council, answered, to Caesar you have appealed, to Caesar you shall go. All right, so remember, this is not Felix now, this is Festus. The nice thing about these Roman guys is they anchor us in time. We have lots of historical sources, so we know exactly when this is. This is 59 AD. In this particular story, Festus is the one that's traveling. Paul is staying in one place. Now, the Jews are trying the exact same trick that they tried 2 years previously, which is get Paul on the move, and then we'll ambush him during transport. Now, before it was the cohort of 40 zealots that said they were going to fast of food and fast of water until Paul was assassinated. But now we find that these are actually the Sanhedrin, the authorities, the Jewish authorities. Fourthly, today, the tribunal is a seat of judgment. let's not get confused that there was also a Roman tribune, which was a person, Lysias Claudius. He was the guy that was just in charge of 1,000 men, the Roman cohort. He put it up the chain to Felix, and now Felix is transferring it over to Festus. So this is Festus today. Now, these are serious charges. There's been a 2-year delay while Paul was in prison under Felix as a favor for the Jews, another favor for the Jews. Now that Festus has taken over, he gets to business like within days. He travels the 62 miles from his county seat, if you will, from Caesarea to Jerusalem, and says, let's get this trial underway. There's been a two-year delay. And life and death is at stake. It was at stake before and is just as much at stake now. Sixthly, politics. That justice is colored and influenced by politics. Why is that? Well, it's because it's colored by men. It's colored by people that occupy the office, that sit in the seat. And I like that the tribunal is actually a seat, a physical seat, and he kind of goes and sits on the seat. That's where we get the terminology of judges are seated onto the bench, or that they sit in judgment. And of interest, the person that Paul appeals to is Nero, who apparently was not such a bad guy for the first few years of his administration, but then got cruel and irrational, says my Bible commentary, for the last part of his administration. And so what we're seeing here is that Paul, how do you get a witness, the witness of Christ before kings and rulers? Well, you get that by sending a witness of Christ before kings and rulers. And that's Paul. Remember, Paul was the guy, right at his conversion, the prophecy was given to him, a word to Ananias, who was the first Christian that he met. And he said, Paul is my chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles. That's his big job, but also to kings and the children of Israel. And here we see Paul getting a place before kings. Okay. All right. So justice, when we say justice, nobody wants justice for themselves if you're speaking spiritually, because we're all fall short of God. And we would end up with the same conclusions that Felix ended up to, which is conclusions of alarm. So we all are going to sit before the judgment seat. We're all going to sit before the seat of Christ. And it's not going to be pretty. Nobody passes that test spiritually. That's why we need the faith in Christ. Let's live like we're going to sit before the judgment seat of Christ. I will see you tomorrow.